And so with this, the legendary backstory of Shaman King begins. How Yo met Anna and a Nekomata called Matamune. This was not able to be included in the original anime, and that will forever be a bit of a disappointment. But it's understandable because there was really no room at this point for the original anime to delve into this. The original anime was getting close to the conclusion that the anime staff had decided on. There was only so much they could actually insert. I think Matamune might have had a small cameo appearance in the original anime at best, but that is in no way a guarantee. That's me kind of assuming that might have happened, but honestly speaking, it might just be my memory playing tricks on me. But what was significant is this backstory was so crucial, so critical, so important, so engaging that a CD drama was set up with the original voice actor of Yo. As for the newer anime, it's a completely different voice actress. Of course, Megumi Hayashibara for Anna, and the first time we ever hear the voice of Matamune, and various different other people who did voices for the 2001 anime version. So this was kind of like a special aside, because honestly, Shaman King was very popular back in the day when it came out. And a staple of very popular anime during that time is that you would sometimes get character CDs where various characters would sing, and they'd have these things called character songs. And these songs would kind of be an expression of the characters, help you kind of get to know the characters a little bit better to a certain degree. And every once in a while, you might have gotten a CD drama, which would be a nice aside story. And they decided to adapt the the storyline of Osorezan Revoir, and it's a fairly long story too. This takes up almost two full volumes of the manga. Not too long, but long enough. And you only get that kind of stuff for a significant backstory, which this was. It explains a lot of things about Anna, a lot of things about Yo, even a lot of things about How, which is why its lack of an inclusion in the original anime was kind of a bit of a detriment, because it is a fantastic story. And the fact that the animation staff, well, the staff overall, decide to bring in the voice actors to do this little aside as an audio drama was a very fantastic thing. I remember when I had managed to track down the manga. I was reading the manga, and I managed to track down the audio drama online, and I listened to it as I was reading the manga, and it just created a whole nother environment to the manga. And it made me want Shaman King to be rebooted just to be able to tell this fantastic backstory. And even the newer anime understands how significant this backstory is, even creating a whole poster and teasers and this and that for this. So they know how important this story is, and I hope it's able to live up the expectations I have and the expectations I'm building up for you, the listener, who might have never seen any of this. But that's enough of a side. Let's jump into Osorezan Le Voile as we enter into Volume 19, Chapter 162, Prologue. For the manga, nothing for the original anime except some pictures of the audio drama CD cases, as I can't really compare audio. That would get me in just a little bit of trouble to really kind of hone in on audio drama. But for the newer anime, the 2021 series, we're in episode 30, Mount Osorezan Le Voile. Let's jump in, shall we? Opening up with a pinwheel, almost verbatim. And so Yo has left behind his oracle bell, and Marco at a complete loss, but Yo filled with nothing but conviction. And even Jean takes his conviction very seriously, but also kind of dismisses him to a certain extent. I said it before and I'll say it again. His actions really do shake what the X-Laws kind of stand for. He won't join them, but he's willing to give up the shaman fight for a friend, showing a mercy that anyone associated with House should never have. And, of course, Marco is in complete disbelief. He wants to believe this is a trick. There's an angle here. There's something despicable behind the scenes. And I love Ryu not missing a beat saying, hey, Yo cares about his friends. And he even threatens him. It's just like, you do what you promised, or we will take you down. And this is no idle threat. The power that Ryu has gained, he could crush Marco. He could crush Marco. And even someone like Faust, who has dubious morals, fully understands that this comes from a place of love. Wanting to revive someone who has passed, someone you closely care about. Geez, Faust feels this with a passion. If Faust wasn't dedicated to Yo already, this would seal the deal for him. And even Manta, he takes pride in what Yo is doing, because it's just like, this is the Yo he's always known. Anything he might have thought of Yo before, any misgiving, they're dismissed. This is the Yo that Manta calls friend. And even Amidamaru finds this sacrifice to be noble. It's just like, it really does wonders to speak about the heart of Yo. An action that even brings Lyserg to tears because it's such an extreme display of kindness, caring. Yes, Lyserg dismissed Yo's caring before as something foolish, as something that wouldn't help Lyserg to meet his end. But Lyserg doesn't hate any of that. That's the thing. Lyserg kind of envies that sympathetic nature, that ability to just have conviction in your own kindness. It's something that Lyserg is just having a hard time embracing because he's so hell-bent on his revenge. I feel like this was the moment where Lyserg just wishes he could just follow behind Yo in that conviction that he has, because it just speaks volumes about Yo's character. And of course, I love to think that in this moment, Marco doesn't know what to think. He wants to just hate Yo. He wants to rail against Yo. He wants to punish Yo. But for what? Doing something noble? Kind? Giving? Self-sacrifice? Hell, he's no longer even in opposition to Marco at this point. Marco wants the excuse, and he can't have it. The anime is getting just super faithful to the manga now. Whereas before, it was kind of brushing some of that to the side in order to speed up things so it could reach this point. Now it's playing things pretty much verbatim almost. It's fully embraced what it's been leading up to. Although, one change they do kind of make is that Necrom is frowning very profoundly in the manga because, he's unhappy that Yo interfered in their plan to harvest Ren's soul. But in the anime, he has this kind of freaky look about him to a certain degree. Also, something that they do not include in the manga as well with Horohoro's sister Parika, who is standing next to someone in the manga who is very, very important coming up. But they don't include him because, that would kind of add into something that you don't really need to think about too much at this moment, but mixed feelings on my end about that. And Anna finding the Oracle Bell, knowing what it means. And I always did love this scene of Anna just kneeling over the Oracle Bell after piling these kind of rocks on top of it that kind of symbolize someone left in kind of limbo or purgatory. And then the scene of the most significant day of Anna's life. And even when I said it during my live reaction, the music that they put towards this moment, just ascended. They went hard on this. They put forth the most effort for this moment because they know they know this is a significant part of the manga and a significant part of the story. As we cut to Mount Osorezan Le Voile, Part 1, and we pick up in 1995, Izumo, Japan, when Yo Asakura was simply 10 years old. I will say that it's very obvious Yo is 10 in the manga. He looks a little bit younger, like, yeah, okay, he should be, in elementary school, but still, because around that age, they've gotten like big, but not too big. He's kind of at the age that he'll kind of be right up until he turns around 15 or so, which you can tell he still has room to grow in the manga. In the newer anime, it's just like, if you didn't tell me he was 10, I'd never know the difference. This could have happened like a couple of years prior. Yo just does not look different to me in the original anime. Like, they weren't willing to kind of alter his character design a little bit to make him look a little bit younger. But again, like I said before, it's kind of that nebulous age where, once you've grown enough that you're fairly big and fairly tall, but you still look like a kid, and you're kind of going to somewhat look like that until you hit high school, where you're just going to have that one last growth spurt that's going to make you either insanely tall, or you're just going to get just a little bit taller than what you grew to. And your growth during this time is very kind of subtle. I know, a lot to talk about for something so simple, but I don't know, I just thought that took me off guard when I saw this scene in the newer anime, because it's just like, oh, he doesn't look much different 5 years earlier. And then Yo is informed that he got a call from his grandma that it's been decided who his future wife will be. And so the manga reaches chapter 163, Osorezan Le Voile, Part 1. And Pochi and Kochi being general jerks, there's too much of an emphasis placed on the fact that Pochi and Kochi didn't wear pants during this time. They get to see young Tamao, who again looks much younger in the manga than she does in the anime. And then we have a very casual introduction to Matamune, and his introduction is just so spot on. It's so spot on. And Matamune speaks with a very classical dialect, and he basically calls out Pochi and Kochi for being vulgar, as it were. And so Pochi and Kochi try to pick a fight, thinking that just because they're 400 years old, it means that they're the big shots around, and Matamune's all too willing to put them in their place. And he's just like, yeah, I'm 1,000 years old, just for your FYI. And he's utterly destroyed Pochi and Kochi. He just politely introduces himself to Yo. Like, I'm serious when I say the newer anime is treating this with the utmost respect. There's a brief scene they cut out from the manga where you actually get to see Yo just with his mom around, with Tamao working in the kitchen, is why during my reaction I said the unfortunate thing about Tamao's kind of love for Yo is that Yo doesn't see her in that way, or even kind of as a friend. He sees her as a sister, because they were essentially raised together to a certain degree. Like, even helping out Yo's mother in the kitchen, kind of raised together. But this is the story of Yo and Matamune and Anna, so interestingly enough, they underplay Matamune observing Yo's love for music, namely Bob Soul, and kind of treat it as Yo observing Matamune himself, which I think that's not a bad thing. I don't think that Matamune knowing about Yo's love of music really plays too much of an important part in the story. And Yo's fancying for trains, mostly because he never really gets to travel like this. Matamune even asking Yo if he has no friends. And it's not as though Matamune realized something about Yo, it's just that he recognizes Yo's kind of demeanor, his personality, and how Yo mentions that tries to brush off his loneliness, saying that he has grandpa, mom, and Tamao at home, which is the significance of actually seeing them there with him. But like he says, he doesn't feel like they count because he sees them as family. There's a difference between friends and family in a lot of cases, despite how close you could be to your family. And another thing that really makes me know that the anime staff for the newer anime is taking this very seriously is they have a tendency to cut out a lot of dialogue in a lot of places. But here, they're keeping as much dialogue in as they can now. Not trying to speed things along, not trying to shorten conversations or monologues or anything. No, they're just doing things straight. And I like that. I like that they're really treating this story with this much care. Because this story is filled with a lot of poems and stuff like that. And the poems really do help build the atmosphere of the story as it goes along. And now we are in chapter 164, Mount Osorezan Le Voile, part 2. And Yo almost misses his stop, unfortunately, because they were up late talking. That's the thing. Matamune was, to a certain degree, Yo's first kind of friend, almost, that he really got to just talk to about whatever, and talk about how a lot of things must be kind of boring to Matamune because he's been around for so long. It's interesting that they chose the longer coat for Yo in the newer anime just because the longer coat just really looks real cool on him, and we get a little bit of information about this place that Matamune would prefer not to go to if he had a choice, how it's very indicative of the land of purgatory between life and death. There's a lot of imagery that they show off that is very specific, I guess you could say, building up this spooky atmosphere of Osorezan. And I always did love this little bit of seeing Mikihisa and Tamao actually just kind of out together, undergoing her training and all that. And you get this kind of insight about how, Kino had a tendency of taking in girls who, might not be particularly gifted spiritually, but just don't have much of a place to go, which kind of ended up being Tamao's role, which I guess kind of infers that out of most of the girls who Kino took in who didn't really have a place to go, Tamao at first was the only one who had the most potential spiritually up until Anna. And so had they not found Anna, it might have been Tamao who had ended up marrying Yo just because she actually had the aptitude for spirituality. And then cut to Matamune and Yo talking about the last time he saw Yo's grandmother Kino, and how she had lost her family and her eyesight during the war. Yeah, that war. Interestingly enough, they do cut out that she eventually became an accomplished Itako and married into the Asakura family. Which, I mean, to a certain degree, kind of goes without saying. You can kind of refer that all the bloodshed that Matamune has seen over the years. I always love this shot of Matamune just in the doorway. Matamune just giving Yo these little smidgen of advice. And we learn that Matamune was involved in the shaman fight 500 years ago. And then he just kind of dips out. It feels weird at first, but he knows there's about to be a specific encounter. Although I love the fact that they don't have the other patrons in the restaurant where they're eating, making them question, like, who is this kid yelling at? And then it happens just like that. That chance meeting and barbed words. You're blocking traffic. Die. And then for some reason, Yo's headband just flies off. And then you enter into chapter 165, Mount Osorezan Le Voile, part 3. And then he tries to talk to her. I love that the anime just really builds up those moments where Yo is just caught, not really knowing what to say. You can almost feel the butterflies that are swimming around in his stomach and in his heart. He's just crushing on her so hard. It's just so adorable. And then she says the worst possible thing. And it's just so funny. Just threatening his life left or right. And then she makes it no. It's just like pathetic. I'm supposed to marry that, making it very clear this is Anna to Yo. A nice little meeting between Kino and Matamune. And Matamune tries to reminisce, and Kino shows where Anna gets a lot of her harsh words and an allusion to his former owner. And they kind of get down to brass tacks about why Matamune has been called in. It's about Anna. She has a great deal of power, but it's too much power for someone so young to have. It's a very similar case to someone specific, and she makes it known that this might spell the end of Matamune, and Yo's just sulking, and he does find her kind of cute, but also terrifying. Which sums up their relationship in a nutshell. Yo's at a little bit of a loss, and he's also lost as he doesn't know where he's going. But then, random demon encounter. They changed up the design of the demon, although he looked a lot more doofy in the manga. He looks a little bit cooler in the newer anime. I love them showing off that Yo can use nature spirits at the very least, and they're nothing to this demon. And then Matamune shows up to help out, and I love how nonchalant Matamune is. Yeah, that's a demon. They show up every now and again. Souls filled with regret and frustration and resentment and all that good stuff. They fester over time, and then they become these inhuman monsters. And this great moment, showing off the true power of Matamune as he manages to strike down the demon with an oversoul and just annihilates it. It's very apparent that there's something special about Matamune, even in terms of what we've seen in Shaman King. Now, Matamune is on a completely different level, and even Anna has observed this interesting sight. And then the last little poem: abandoned on the street, desolate, sulking in shadows, feeling the weight of the world. Love is hellos, goodbyes, and gossamer. Mount Osorezan, Le Voile, or Le Voile. See, it's funny too because I don't know if they got back the same voice for Matamune. I think it might be the same voice actor because the way he pronounces things is just spot on the same, but it's just beautiful. Like the story, the care, the feelings, and those poems that just add this little something extra to these various different moments. They're all there, and they just hit the same way they did way back when I first read all of this way back when. Yeah, it's Hideyuki Tanaka. They actually did manage to get back the same voice actor who had done the drama CDs, and he just voices it in just the same way as I remember from way back when. He just has these wonderful inflection and stuff, but definitely had to brought him back. I don't think they just ripped the audio because some of the lines he has, they weren't in the original drama, so they're just really killing it right now with this. And I'm glad. It's funny too because I remember I read this and I listened to the drama almost 10 years ago. Maybe a little bit more than that. It was either somewhere between 2009 and 2011. And I really did fall even deeper in love with Shaman King than I already was because of this storyline. It really does capture something special in terms of Shaman King as a whole. And I'm glad that the animation staff is just treating this with such decency, reverence, and care. That's the most important part. Like, to hell with the animation not being like out of this world, absolutely amazing, just oh my god, gasming at the mouth, because the storyline to me doesn't need it. It's a very simple story with very simple moments. The audio alone sells the story. And I think that is absolutely fantastic and telling of a really good story. But let me know your thoughts so far. are you digging how the Shaman King anime is starting to kind of really, just really closely adapt the manga? Or did you prefer the more brisk pace there used to be? And are you someone who actually did listen to the audio dramas back in the day? And how do you feel about most of the cast returning aside from, for some reason, the voice of Yo, despite the fact that I think she's still acting? I think it might have been an agency issue. And the voice of Kino and Yome, and I think Tamao, and as well as Miki Hisa have changed. Enough of the cast has been changed, but a good enough amount of the cast has returned for this. And I think this is a lot of the reason why, because Hiroyuki Takei, he had a very good relationship with the voice actor, especially Megumi Hiyashibara. And he really did kind of love that she really seemed to want to do a lot, especially for the Osorezan Reservoir or Revoir audio drama. She did songs for it here and there, making songs out of the poems. There was this just really close bond with the mangaka and the voice actors that, really made it clear why he didn't want an anime adaptation to happen unless he could bring as many of the voice actors back as he could. And for me, it's really showing now. This is the moment where all of that is really starting to shine. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How are you feeling about the direction things are going? And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.